You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
All right, open court.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Court of Shelton County in Louisville, Tennessee is open for business. Pursuit and adjournments. All persons have business before the court. Draw near, give attention, and ye shall be heard. The Honorable Judge Collins is presiding. Please be seated. No talking in the courtroom.
All right, call the docket.
Your Honor, the case before the court is Kate McNeil and Marty Bird.
All right, all parties are present for this proceeding. Are there any preliminary matters that we need to take up before we get started?
Judge, we would like to introduce the members of the plaintiff's team describing our roles for this trial, and our witness will introduce themselves in their role.
All right, you may do so.
My name is Maya Lewis. I'll be the opening plaintiff for this trial.
All right.
My name is Darren Harris. I will be directing Sandy Stone and crossing Mickey Bird.
All right, thank you.
My name is Tracy Starks. I will be doing the closing argument, and I will be direct examining Deputy Fife, and I'll be cross-examining Mickey Faye.
All right, thank you.
My name is Nia Finley. I'll be providing the defense opening statement.
All right.
I'm Kenneth Williams. I will be crossing Deputy Fife, directing Marty Bird, and closing.
All right, do you want to introduce your witnesses?
My name is Karen Chapman. I'll be portraying Marty Bird.
All right.
My name is Erin Johnson. I'll be portraying Mickey Faye.
All right.
My name is Shakira, and I'll be portraying Deputy Fife.
Okay.
My name is Down Tran. I'll be portraying Dr. Stanford Sutton.
All right.
My name is Adriana Powell. I'll be playing Captain David.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Your Honor, we would like to make the following pretrial requests before we begin the trial. May we direct and cross-examine the witnesses from the areas around the well of the courtroom as long as we do not cross into the well?
So granted.
May we approach the witness only to show that the witness something that might be in one of the exhibits if that witness does not see or understand something in the exhibit, and only after we ask permission from you?
Granted.
Your Honor, according to the mock trial rules, all exhibits have been stipulated on it as it relates to authenticity, and we ask that the hearsay rule be exempt from objections to these exhibits.
All right, any objection to those particular stipulations?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Any stipulation or?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right, let's go ahead and begin proof. Are there any opening statements? All right, you may begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a talented, hardworking individual who has dedicated their life to their career. Imagine them putting in countless of hours, making sacrifices, and overcoming obstacles to achieve their goals. Now I want you to imagine all of that hard work being taken away from them in an instant due to the negligence of another person. The imagination of a successful and thriving career being shattered by the actuals of another individual is the harsh reality for my client, Kat McNeil. But it is a reality that we must face. And it is a reality that requires us to hold Marty Bird accountable for her negligence. Ladies and gentlemen, Marty Bird is the single most person responsible for the reckless injury that has rendered my client unemployable for the rest of her life. On March 24th, 2022, my client's dreams and aspirations died. Why? All because Marty Bird decided to break the laws of Linville, Tennessee by operating an unauthorized vehicle on the streets of Linville. My client you're gonna hear from my client herself when she comes before you to describe her career journey of being a highly demanded dental model. She's gonna testify that she lived on the outskirts of Glenville and rode her reliable electric scooter just for about all of her destination needs. She's gonna testify that on March 24th, 2022, when she was riding her reliable electric scooter, that she saw a transportation vehicle that looked like a beach with sand and other stuff on it coming down, pulling with a tractor on Fleet Street. She's going to testify that when this vehicle slowed for the light, something fell from it. Well, she had to slow as well, and her tire slid on what fell from that transportation vehicle. Well, this sent her airborne, and she landed face down on the asphalt road. As a result of this incident, Kat incurred multiple injuries, including a dislocated shoulder, multiple contusions and scrapes, and the loss of her 2 front teeth. Due to this incident, my client has faced embarrassment, mental anguish, and permanent disfigurement. As a result of this, Kat incurred lost employment opportunities, including a 10-year dental modeling contract with True Delicious Bubblegum. True Delicious Bubblegum Company, a national bubblegum company, signed Kat to do TV commercials. Her smile was on the sides of buses and benches all over town, but all of that ended due to the negligence of Marty Bird. Next, you will hear from Metro Shelton County's finest officer, Deputy Riley Fife. Deputy Fife will testify that she was dispatched to an accident scene on the corner of Main and Fleet Street. She's going to testify that when she arrived at the scene, that she saw a transportation vehicle that looked like a beach and a scooter lying directly behind it near a pile of sand. She is going to testify that it is illegal for transportation vehicles to be operated on the streets of Linville, and that Marty Bird was in violation of this very law. She's going to testify that she saw the plaintiff being loaded into an ambulance and transported to the hospital. She's going to tell you how she went to where the pile of sand was and collected a sample. Then she went over to the transportation vehicle and collected a sample of sand from there. She interviewed several witnesses, including Lane Goodner, Charlie McDaniel, and Mickey Faith. Next, you will hear from Dr. Stanford Stone. Dr. Stone is a geological engineer and will give her expert testimony on sand. She will provide you her expert analysis as to the type of sand, where the sand uniquely came from, and offer to her opinion as to why this sand caused a tragic accident for this plaintiff. Ladies and gentlemen, the burden of proof in a civil case is the preponderance of evidence. The preponderance of evidence is what causes the fact finder to conclude that an allegation is probably true. To conclude that an allegation is probably true, they have to conclude that the allegation is more likely true than not true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are the fact finder. And after the conclusion of our proof, you will conclude that Marty Bird is the single most person responsible for the reckless injury that has rendered my client unemployable for the rest of her life. Thank you.
All right. All right, defense, you have an opening statement.
May I have permission to wrong, Your Honor?
Yes, you do.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in our system of justice, there are safeguards in place to ensure that individuals do not file lawsuits based off frivolous claims. From a legal standpoint, there are legitimate claims for damages, and if a defendant in a civil matter is negligent, the plaintiff should be compensated. However, when a person files that lawsuit and they're at fault for those claims, why should they be compensated? I want to talk to you about a legal concept before diving deeper into the specifics of this case. I, along with my fellow counsel, represent the defendant, Marty Bird, who is being sued by the plaintiff, Kat McNable, for injuries caused. But they were caused by Kat McNable herself. So why should she be compensated? The legal concept I want to talk to you about is called fault. Fault has two parts, negligence and causation. Negligence is the failure to use reasonable care. It's either doing something a reasonably careful person would not do, or the failure to do something a reasonably careful person would do, under circumstances similar to those shown in this case. A mere happening of an injury or accident does not in and of itself prove negligence. A person may assume that every other person will use reasonable care, unless the circumstances indicate the contrary to a reasonably careful person. Now, let me illustrate to you what this concept looks like. We just had an ice storm pass over a couple months ago. Weather forecasters predicted ice was to come and to be careful. City and law enforcement warned individuals to only travel in cases of emergency. Therefore, if you got in your car and drove to the grocery store to get ice cream and got in a car accident causing injuries, why hold the weather forecaster, city, and law enforcement at fault? Why even suggest they were negligent when you contributed to your own negligence? Now, what this little concept is saying is simply claiming somebody is negligent does not in fact mean that person is negligent. And that is exactly what Kevin Nagel is trying to do in this case. The next part of fault is causation. Causation has two parts: legal cause and cause and fact. A cause and fact of a plaintiff's injury is a cause which directly contributed to a plaintiff's injury and without which the plaintiff would have not sustained those injuries. To be a cause and fact, it is not necessary that a negligent act or omission be the sole cause of the plaintiff's injury, only to be a cause or reason why the injuries were sustained. Now, if a plaintiff's of the defendant's negligence was a cause and fact of the plaintiff's injury, the next step is determining whether a party's negligence was a legal cause of injury or damage. Two requirements must be met to determine whether legal cause was of a party's negligence was the cause of injury or damage. 1. The conduct must have been a substantial factor in bringing about the injuries being complained of. And 2. The harm being brought to action could have been reasonably foreseen or anticipated by a person with ordinary intelligence and prudence. Now, to re-illustrate to you what this concept looks like. In this situation, the ice on the roadway would be causation. After the defendant, if you can prove that the ice on the roadway was a direct cause of the wreck, then the plaintiff must prove by preponderance of evidence that a person of ordinary intelligence and prudence could then see if it was a substantial factor of her injuries. Now, to tie this all back to the specifics of this case, the plaintiff, Kat McNable, must prove by preponderance of evidence that my client, Marty Bird, caused her injuries, and only through Marty's actions were her injuries sustained. However, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I can assure you that after the testimony and evidence is presented before you, it will be overwhelmingly clear that my client, Marty Bird, did absolutely nothing to cause Kat McNable's injuries. It was only through Kat McNable's own negligence that she sustained her injuries. So why should my client be held responsible? I want you to think about a couple questions using your basic common sense throughout the duration of the trial. 1. Did Marty Bird cause Kat McNable's injuries? 2. Was Marty Bird negligent for Kat McNable's injuries? And 3. Did Kat McNable contribute to her own injuries? Thank you.
All right, call witnesses.
The plaintiff would like to call Kat McNable to the stand.
All right, Mr. McNable, swear the witness in, bailiff.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do you swear to inform and tell the truth? I swear to inform and tell the truth.
All right, you may take the witness stand. Okay. All right, you may ask.
Please state your name for the court.
My name is Kat McNable.
Could you speak up a little bit for me?
My name is Kat McNable.
Miss McNable, may I call you Kat?
Yes, that's what everyone calls me.
Kat, where do you live?
Oh, I live in downtown Linville. I moved here 5 years ago to attend Linville State.
Can you tell the jury exactly where you live in Linville?
I live in downtown Linville. That's about half a mile from Fleet and a mile from Fleet and Broad.
Now, you live on Depot Street. How do you get around?
I get around on I had an electric scooter that I called the Catmobile. I rode it literally everywhere. I mean, to get groceries, to shop, to go to work. There was never a place I didn't go without it.
Can you tell the jury what your profession is?
Well, I believe, the top dental model in the world.
Can you tell the jury what a dental model is?
Well, a dental model is someone who shows that beautiful smile to dental product manufacturers, dental providers, and local advertisement agencies. You then become their model for things such as local ads, dental brochures, and magazines. And I went from this to this.
Let me direct your attention to February 2022. Did something significant happen to you?
Yes, I got signed a 10-year contract with Chewelicious Bubblegum Company to do TV commercials. You're hearing this? TV commercials. I mean, I was also negotiating several other contracts with other providers for dental brochures and other magazine ads.
You remember the exact day that Marty Bird changed your life?
Oh, I could never forget. It was March 24th, 2022.
Okay, can you tell the jury exactly what happened to you on March 24th, 2022? And can you begin telling them what your daily routine looks like?
Well, I live in a small apartment, so I often go out to get fresh air. And this day, I was cruising down the streets of Linville, Tennessee, as I usually do on the Catmobile.
So when you rode your scooter, did you have a particular route that you rode on?
Yes, I rode this same route every day. Turn left out of my apartment on Depot Street, ride about half a mile to Fleet Street, turn left onto Broad, ride half a mile, turn left back onto Depot Street, and then back into my apartment building garage.
And how often would you take that ride on your scooter?
I rode this route every day. Rain, shine, sleet, snow, it didn't matter. It was my time to reconnect with myself and let the stress of being a dental model fade to the back of my mind.
Now, can you tell the jury what happened to you on March 24th, 2022?
Well, this day began as I was doing what I usually do, taking a stroll through downtown Linville. And I turned left onto Fleet Street when I came behind this open-air party beach wagon. It had sand, umbrellas, beach chairs. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
After you saw this beach wagon, what happened next?
Well, I was taking in this whole scene as it began to slow down for the light of Fleet and Main.
After that, what happened?
As it was slowing down, I saw something fall off the back of this wagon. And before I knew it, the Catmobile's back wheel slipped and I was airborne. It was like in slow motion as I was flying through the air and I hit the asphalt road face first.
What happened after you hit the asphalt road face first?
Well, after that, this Good Samaritan came up to help me.
Do you remember who this Good Samaritan was?
Their name was like Lane Goodby, Goodner or something.
What happened next?
Well, as they asked me if I was okay, I opened my mouth to speak, and that's when I noticed blood pouring out of my mouth. I noticed my two front teeth on the floor, and my life, my whole career flashed before my eyes. I knew it was all over.
Did anyone else come up to help you?
Well, Marty Bird came up, and they kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," over and over again.
Did Marty do anything else?
Well, Marty also also promised to pay for my emergency room visit, but that was an empty promise because I haven't seen a dime from them.
What happened next?
Well, maybe 10 minutes later, an ambulance came and transported me to Linville Memorial Hospital.
Were you seen by medical personnel at the emergency room?
Yes, and I was diagnosed with, along with my missing front teeth, a dislocated right shoulder and multiple scrapes and contusions. I had to wear a sling for 4 weeks and undergo 12 weeks of therapy.
Did anyone come interview regarding the incident?
Yes, Deputy Fife interviewed me.
What did you tell Deputy Fife?
Well, I told Deputy Fife that I saw something fall off the back of the wagon. I bet $1 million it was that sand that caused this accident.
As a result of that accident, tell the jury what follow-up treatments and care that you have experienced.
Well, I've seen multiple oral surgeons, prosthodontists, and dentists. Nobody can fix me. So now, for the rest of my life, I'm stuck with this gap in the front of my mouth. This gap also ended my dental modeling career, just as it was beginning.
Has this caused you any mental and social anguish?
Yes, this has taken a toll on my social and mental life. Instead of going out, I just stay home, and I hate being photographed because being photographed and seeing that gap in the front of my mouth it's just a painful reminder of my lost dental modeling career. Also, after this incident, Chewlicious Bubblegum Company contacted me and informed me of ending their contract with me. All the other contracts I had in the work also went away.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right. Cross-examination.
Is it okay if I call you Kat?
Yes.
Kat, you ride your electric scooter pretty much everywhere you go. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you supposed to ride that scooter on sidewalks or lanes of the street designated for cars and trucks?
Well, I have a license, so I believe I can ride it on the road.
Okay. When you ride that scooter, you ride it in the roadway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is the operation of the scooter in the roadway a violation of the law?
Well, not as far as I'm aware.
So you don't know if it's legal or illegal?
I believe it's not.
Okay. You had your accident on Fleet Street. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have any legal authority that advised you that riding on the roadway was legal?
No. I
Objection,
actually
Your
took.
Honor.
Okay, state your objection.
Ask and answer.
Your Honor, this is not asking an answer. I'm asking if any legal authority advised her to ride on the roadway, not of her knowledge of riding on the roadway.
I'm going to overrule that objection. You may ask. You may answer that question.
Again, if you need it. Did any legal authority advise you to ride on Did any legal authority advise you that riding on the roadway was legal?
No.
Okay. Whose choice is it to ride that scooter on the roadway on March 24, 2022?
Well, it was mine. I ride that route every day.
When you operate that electric scooter, are you supposed to ride it with care?
Yes, and I do.
Would you agree with me that a person that rides on a scooter should not speed on it for their own safety?
Yes.
In fact, speeding or not, a person that chooses to ride a scooter in a roadway should do so at least in a careful manner. Would you agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
So whose fault is it when a person rides on a scooter in a roadway and falls off of it?
Well, it depends on the situation. In this situation, it wasn't the fault of the person on the scooter.
Okay. So let's walk the jury through this again. On March 24th, you chose to get on your scooter, correct?
Yes.
You chose to ride on the street of Fleet instead of the sidewalk, correct?
Yes.
And you did so, ride on that scooter illegally, and a vehicle slipped on asphalt sand, loose gravel, peanut butter, bananas, whatever. It's their person's fault, correct?
No, I don't believe so.
So you don't intend on accepting any responsibility for your own actions?
Objection, Your Honor. Badgering the witness.
All right. What's your response?
Your Honor, this is not badgering the witness. I'm just wondering if she wants to take any responsibility for her part in her injury.
Response?
Your Honor,
Excuse me.
we don't know if my client is not responsible for the injuries that was caused upon of her.
And I'm wondering if she wants to take any responsibility. That's what I'm asking.
Well, I'm going to allow the jury to make that decision as it pertains to that particular issue. So I'm going to sustain that objection.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Call your next witness.
I would like to call Dr. Sandy Stone.
All right, Dr. Stone. Swear the witness in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and affirm? I swear and affirm.
All right.
Can you state your name for the court?
My name is Dr. Stanford Stone. My friends call me
Turn your
Sandy.
volume up a little bit, Miss Dr. Stone.
My name is Dr. Stanford Stone. My friends call me Sandy.
Dr. Stone, what is your doctorate in?
I have a bachelor's in geological engineering from Linville State University, and I have a PhD in geological engineering from North Dakota University.
So what is your profession?
I am a geological consultant and engineer.
Dr. Stone, can you describe what a geological consultant and engineer does?
Well, a good and experienced geological consultant and engineer like myself, we analyze various terrains and we assess and analyze the underlying soil and rock stability on those terrains to mitigate geohazards. We also analyze and assess potential deposits of natural resources such as natural gas or oil.
Did you prepare a curriculum vitae for your testimony today?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I would like to present what has previously been marked as Exhibit Number 4 for identification purposes only.
All right. All right, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, you may present that to the witness.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is my curriculum vitae.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has identified her curriculum vitae, and I would like to move Exhibit 4 into evidence at this time and publish it to the jury after the witness's testimony.
All right, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
Dr. Stone, have you had any professional training in the field of geological engineering?
Yes, I had a rock, sand, and soil training class in San Antonio, Texas, with various other soil training courses.
Do you have any peer-reviewed articles or publications in geological engineering?
Yes, I'm proud to say that I have 3 peer-reviewed articles published.
Have you ever provided lectures in your career as a geological engineer on the impact of sand safety on roadways?
Yes, I lectured about the impacts that sand has on the safety of roadways and walking surfaces at Austin Community College in Texas.
Your Honor, I would like to tender Dr. Stone as an expert in geological engineering and will be providing expert testimony in sand analysis. Her expertise is based upon education, experience, and knowledge in geological engineering.
Any objection?
No objection, Your
Are
Honor.
there any impeachment with this witness as it relates to her area of expertise?
Not of now, Your Honor. I'll question the witness during cross-examination.
All right, I would like to tender Dr. Sandy Stone as a geological engineer, and she can provide expert testimony as it relates to sand and sand sample Would she be testifying to roadway condition in addition to this?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Are there any objections to this particular witness being an expert in roadway hazards and things of that nature?
Now, Your Honor, I'll question what he's going to consider.
All right. All right. You may proceed.
Dr. Stone, were you summoned to give testimony in this case?
Yes, I was retained by Kat McNable to provide my expert opinion on the sand from her accident and where it came from, along with whether or not the sand itself is what caused the accident.
Okay, let's get this out of the way. Do you know Kat McNable personally?
Yes, Kat and I were roommates during college. I was a senior, she was a freshman. That's when she called me to review the evidence and provide my honest opinion off my expertise.
Are you providing testimony based upon friendship or the truth?
I'm providing my testimony off the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, what did you do to prepare for your testimony today?
Before coming to my opinion, I reviewed all the pictures taken at the scene, I tested the sand samples, and then I reviewed the testimonies of all the eyewitnesses at the scene.
After reviewing the pictures, testing the sand samples, and reviewing the testimony of other witnesses, what was your conclusion?
I came to the conclusion that the sand that fell off the transportainment vehicle is the same sand that was on the road. When I tested the sand samples, I found that the sand was almost pure quartz sand.
Why are you so certain that this sand was pure quartz sand?
Because pure quartz sand is the stuff you find on Pomona City beaches. It's not very common for Linville, Tennessee. Seeing such sand in Linville is like seeing a turtle on a fence post. You know it didn't get there by itself.
Were there any other factors that contributed to your analysis of the sand samples?
Yes. Feldspars are specific to Tennessee. Feldspars are aluminum tactosilicate minerals that oxidize and otherwise discolor the white quartz. And this is just a fancy way of saying that the sand in Tennessee looks darker. And I remember when I was reviewing the defendant's testimony, he said that the sand could not have been his because it was darker. But I want to remind the court that sand looks darker when it is wet, and the fine and sandy had both water and sand on it.
As an expert on the impact of sand safety on roadways, did you have an opinion regarding the road surface and the sand found at the accident scene?
Yes, I come to the conclusion that the sand itself was the cause of the accident. Having studied sand for most of my professional life, it's like heavy rain or black ice. It reduces the friction coefficient between the tire and the road, which is just a fancy way of saying the road gets slippery. Now, when you combine the friction coefficient with the lateral G forces of a left-hand turn, it's a recipe for an accident. Now, if you were speeding, an accident would be more likely, but sand is a serious road hazard even at normal speeds.
Thank you, Dr. Stone, for your testimony. I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Is it okay if I call you Dr. Stone?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Stone, have you ever gave testimony as an expert witness?
No, ma'am.
In fact, you have only given testimony as a defendant in your tax fraud case, correct?
Yes, but that case was dismissed.
Okay. Can you remind the court of how you know Kat McNable?
I knew her in college. We were roommates.
Is it true that you would typically charge $1,500 for your expert opinion?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it true that instead of charging that $1,500, you charged Kat $150?
Yes, ma'am, but that's because I usually provide expert opinions for big businesses. Kat just lost her main source of employment and income due to this accident.
So it's fair to say that you're willing to help your friend and even willing to be biased in support of her.
I don't understand how the scientific data I found is biased.
Okay. Today, you provide testimony on the quality of sand found on the scene of the incident with your expert opinion, correct?
Yes.
But would you agree that anyone in this courtroom can provide an opinion, correct?
They can give an opinion, but not an expert opinion.
Well, in all, you're providing not facts, but just an opinion, correct?
When I tested the sand samples, those are the facts.
But it's still just your expert opinion, correct?
It is an expert opinion, correct?
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, call your next witness. Thank you, Dr. Stone.
The plaintiff would like to call Deputy Fife to the stand.
All right, swear the witness in.
Do you promise to affirm and tell the truth?
I promise to affirm and tell the truth.
You may approach the stand.
Can you state your name for the court?
My name is Deputy Riley Fife. I've worked for the Sheriff of Metro Shelton County, Linville for the past 28 years, and I've lived here all my life.
As a deputy for Metro Shelton County, Linville, what are some of your daily duties?
I go from patrolling Metro Shelton County, Linville city limits, answering calls from getting cats out of trees and fights and stuff like that, police stuff.
Let me redirect your attention to March 24, 2022. Do you remember this day?
Yeah, I was working and then I was dispatched to the scene of the crash. The report came in that there were multiple injuries, but that turned out not to be the case. When I arrived, there was this big hazardous transportation vehicle pulled off on the side of Main Street on the corner of Main and Fleet.
Are those transportation vehicles street legal?
Not for that road.
Did you write the owner of the transportation vehicle a citation?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I would like to pass to the witness what has been previously marked as Exhibit 1 for identification purposes only.
All right, could you show the defense counsel first? All right, in objection, defense?
No objection.
All right. Pass that to the witness.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is a citation I wrote Marty Bird for violation of city ordinance.
Your Honor, I would like to move Exhibit number 1 into evidence at this time and publish it to the jury after the witness testimony.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right.
Can you describe to the jury what you saw next?
There was a scooter in the middle of the roadway.
Okay. What did you see next at the scene?
This transportation vehicle was one of the craziest ones yet. It had a beach. Well, it looked like a beach. It had a pool. It had sand. It had beach chairs. It just looked like it was calling for trouble.
Did you collect any sand samples at this time?
Yes, I took one from the roadway and another from the trailer.
Your Honor, I would like to pass to the witness what has been previously marked as Exhibit number 2 and 3 for identification purposes only.
All right. I'll give that to the opposing counsel. All right. Are there any objection?
No objection.
All right. Give it to the witness.
Do you recognize Exhibit number 2?
Yes, this is the sample that I took from the roadway.
Your Honor, I would like to move Exhibit number 2 into evidence at this time and publish it to the jury after the witness testimony.
All right.
Do you recognize Exhibit number 3?
This is the sample that I took from the trailer.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to move Exhibit number 3 into evidence at this time and publish it to the jury after the witness testimony.
All right. Thank you.
Did you see Captain Nabel?
Yeah, when I arrived, she was being loaded into the ambulance, so I didn't get a chance to talk to her at the scene, but I went to the hospital afterwards.
Okay. When you arrived at the hospital to interview Kat, were you able to interview her?
I was able to, but I was distracted by her 2 missing front teeth, so I wasn't able to get a lot out of her.
So you saw she was severely injured, correct?
Yeah, she was really busted up.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
All right. What's your response to leading?
I'll just rephrase the question.
All right. Rephrase the question.
Did she seem to be injured?
She was severely injured.
Okay. Did you interview anyone else who witnessed the crash?
Yes, I talked to Charlie McDaniel.
What did Charlie have an offer in regards to the incident?
He had saw Cat fall where the sand had fallen.
Were there any other witnesses?
Yeah, I talked to Mickey Faith.
Okay. Were there any other witnesses?
There was Elaine Goodner.
Okay. Thank you. This is all I have for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Cross-examination.
Good morning, W5. I represent the defendant, Marty Bird. Do you know Marty personally?
Can I get you
No.
to stand right here and cross-ex your witness from here? All right. And project your voice so everyone can hear you. All right. You may proceed.
Good afternoon, Deputy 5. I represent the defendant, Marty Bird. Do you know Marty personally?
No.
Let's cut to the chase. You don't like those transportation vehicles, do you?
Obviously.
In fact, you have a record at the Shelton County Sheriff Department finding the most citations to transportation vehicle owner. Is that correct?
Yep, and all well deserved.
You furnished an affidavit giving statements regarding this case, didn't you?
That's what you read, so yeah.
Okay. Speak up for me, both.
In your affidavit, you said, and I quote, But now they got transportainment, and no one can figure out what to do with them. But they're riding through town on school buses turned rolling dance clubs. I hate them. They're nothing but trouble. End quote. Is that your statement?
Yeah.
You don't like transportainment vehicles. You said that you hate them, correct?
Yeah, if that's what I said.
Is it a fact that you went to the extent of trying to ban them from Linville?
Yeah.
In your affidavit, you said that you went to the Metro Council meetings at least a dozen times asking for them to be outlawed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you about March 24th, 2022. You were called to the scene of an accident, correct?
Yes, I was.
When you arrived, tell us what you saw again.
I saw a transportainment vehicle pulled off on the side of Main, on the corner of Main and Fleet, and I saw a scooter in the middle of the roadway.
Did you see a scooter in the roadway or on the sidewalk?
In the roadway.
Is it illegal to ride a scooter of any kind in the roadway?
Yes.
Did you give a citation to Captain Nabel for operating a scooter in the roadway?
No.
Why not? You wrote my client.
Because I wasn't there. I can't give a citation for a misdemeanor that I wasn't there to witness.
You are a law enforcement officer, correct?
Obviously.
Writing a citation for an electric scooter in the roadway where there is an injury is a violation of the law, correct?
Which I couldn't do because I wasn't there.
But you failed to write a citation for violating the law involving injury on that day, correct?
I didn't witness the misdemeanor.
Deputy 5, you obviously have biases towards transportation vehicle owners, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
No further questions.
All right. All right, any redirect? Any
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down, Deputy. All right, are there any other witnesses for the plaintiff?
The plaintiff rests their case.
All right. All right, defense. Now, Ms. Bird, you do not have to provide any witnesses, none whatsoever. This is our judicial system here in the United States. Do you want, through your counsel, do you all want to present proof? All witnesses?
Do you want us to, do we want to present our witnesses? Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, you may call your witnesses.
The defense would like to call Marty Bird to the stand.
All right, Ms. Bird.
Raise your right hand as well. Do you swear to uphold and maintain the truth?
I swear to uphold and maintain the truth.
You may approach the stand.
Please state your name for the court.
My name is Marty Bird.
Can I address you by your first name, Marty?
Yes, that's okay.
Marty, where do you live?
I live right here in Linville, Tennessee.
Marty, what do you do for a living?
I'm the proud owner and operator of the Fine and Sandy. It's a transportainment wagon here in Linville.
Have you always owned the Fine and Sandy?
No, I used to be a school teacher, but I got so tired of the mounds of paperwork, 20 minutes for lunch in the early mornings. It was just so boring to me.
Was this your source of income?
Yeah, it basically was.
Can you tell the jury how you came to this business virtue?
Well, one day I was in class daydreaming, probably supposed to be teaching, and I was thinking of a beach, and bam, it just came to me. I could bring a beach right here to Linville, Tennessee.
Can you describe to the jury your daily routine to prepare for business?
Well, I wake up every morning, and I of course go and check out my my wagon. I check for any modifications that I need to add, and of course I add any maintenance needed.
Did you make some special modifications to the Fine and Sandy?
Well, a few months ago, I noticed a few grains of sand falling on the back of my trailer. So of course, I added a trim to it.
Let me direct you to March 24th, 2022. Do you remember that day?
Yes, that's the day that this Cat McNabel claimed that my sand from my trailer caused her accident. How can you be hurt by sand?
Can you tell the jury what exactly happened on that day?
Well, it was a beautiful sunny day in Linville, Tennessee. I had a 1 p.m. reservation for what seemed to be my biggest group yet. I was driving down Fleet Street, and I noticed someone in my rearview mirror. Now, normally, I wouldn't pay much attention to them, but they were coming in pretty fast on Fine and Sandy. A few minutes later, I noticed they had fallen flat on their face. I stopped my vehicle, of course, and jumped out to help. That who I now know is Cat McNabel. I tried to talk to her, but I couldn't really tell what she was saying because her 2 front teeth are missing.
What did you do next?
Well, then I went around and searched the area. I saw that there was some sand maybe 5 feet away from where that Cat McNable had fallen, but it wasn't anything like my sand. My sand is pure sand from the sunny beaches of Florida. That sand was some sand that you get from like the store.
What happened next?
Well, after that, Deputy 5 Deputy 5 came up and talked to me, but they weren't really paying much attention to what I had to say. Deputy 5 is known in the transportation community for basically targeting us, always giving citations for what seems to be no reason.
Have you had any run-ins with the law, lawsuits, or any complaints before or after this incident?
No, everybody seems to love define insanity. Apparently, I didn't have my right LLC or something for my business, but it's my business, not anybody else's.
Are you aware that transportation vehicles were not allowed on Fleet Street prior to that incident on March 24th, 2020?
No, I had no idea. I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I would never go somewhere I'm not supposed to be.
Did you believe that you had all proper documentation to operate Define Insanity on and before March 24th, 2022?
I, of course, thought I had everything that I needed. I had some type of permit, but apparently it wasn't the right permit. This business is just me, myself, and I. I don't see why I need all that stuff.
Thank you. No more further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Cross-examination.
Ms. Bird, you are a former school teacher, correct?
Correct.
As a school teacher, you must have some levels of post-secondary education, such as a college degree, correct?
Correct.
In this essence, this shows your level of intelligence, correct?
I am pretty smart.
As a school teacher, students and teachers must follow rules, correct?
Correct.
So you are intelligent and understand the essence of following rules.
I am smart and can follow rules.
When you were a school teacher, did you have to attend any training regarding student safety?
I guess so.
If you allowed a student to climb up on a ladder to put up a poster in your classroom and the student failed, would you be liable? Yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Okay. All right. What's your response to relevance?
Your Honor, this line of questioning is very important to this case. It has everything to do with responsibility and liability, and it goes to the entity of this case.
All right. What's your response, counsel?
Your Honor, the attorney is asking questions about the safety of the student climbing the ladder. How is that relevant to how Cat McNable stood?
Well, here's what this case is about. It is regarding safety because according to the testimony that's been rendered so far, the plaintiff indicated that there was a safety hazard, and this is what this case is about. I think it's very relevant. I'm going to allow this line of questioning to go on, but to a certain extent. All right, it's relevant, and I'm going to overrule that objection.
If you allow a student to climb up on a ladder to put a poster up in your classroom and the student failed, would you be liable, yes or no?
No, I'm not the one that climbed up on a ladder. Why would a student be on my ladder in my classroom?
Okay, so you don't intend to take any responsibility?
No, it's just not my fault that they climbed on the ladder.
You decided to go into business for yourself, correct?
Correct.
You knew that there would be rules for operating your business, correct?
The rules that I set for myself, because it's my business.
You knew that there would be liabilities associated with operating any kind of business, correct?
It's just my business. I don't see how I'm a liability.
You don't think there are liabilities associated with having a business?
Other business owners, but not me.
You don't know. If you fail to operate your business in a manner where someone is injured, should that business be liable?
Can you repeat the question?
I said if you fail to operate your business in a manner where someone is injured, should that business be liable?
I operate my business in a place where everybody is safe, so I don't really know how to answer that question. But if another business owner did it, then yeah, I guess they would be liable.
I don't take that as a yes. Your business is defined as Sandy, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you had sand and other hazards such as beach chairs and umbrellas that could fall from the vehicle onto the roadway, correct?
No, beach chairs, sand, and umbrellas aren't hazards.
Would they not be hazards if they fell on the roadway?
No, because my wagon is set up to a point where they don't fall out on the roadway.
In fact, you had an experience with sand falling from your vehicle onto your garage floor in your house, correct?
I had an incident where a few grains of sand fell onto my garage floor, barely anything you could even slip on.
But you recognize that this was a potential hazard because you built something onto the back of your trailer to keep the sand from falling, correct?
not a hazard. I just didn't want sand on my floor.
I'll take that as a yes. So you knew that sand falling off could be a possible hazard on the roadway as well, correct?
No, because sand doesn't fall from my wagon.
But did you not state that sand fell off your wagon in your garage?
I said a few grains of sand fell on my wagon. Nothing you could even see or slip on.
If your sand fell from your vehicle, would this be your responsibilities or someone else's?
Sand doesn't fall from my wagon, but if someone else had a transportation wagon where they had sand, then maybe for them, but not for me.
I'll take that as a yes as well. Were you aware that transportation vehicles were not supposed to be operated on Fleet Street?
I'm a law-abiding citizen. If I didn't know I was supposed to be there, I wouldn't have been there.
You are a person that understands laws and rules, correct?
Correct.
Is it important that you follow the rules and laws when you are in business?
It's my business, so I follow my own rules and laws, so I guess so.
So you didn't confirm with any professionals that to get any correct LLCs or any documentation on how you were supposed to operate your business?
I don't know if you've ever had a business, but it's really hard to figure everything out. I'm a new business owner, so of course I'm figuring everything out as I go.
Okay. I'll take that as a no. If you fail to obey the rules and you cause someone to injure themselves, shouldn't you be responsible?
I've never been in a situation like that. I wouldn't really know how to answer it, so.
Were you cited for violating the law on March 24th, 2022? Not a rule, correct?
I was targeted on March 24th, 2022 by Deputy 5.
Can you answer the question with a yes or no?
No, I was targeted.
So you weren't cited?
I mean, I was cited, but I was targeted.
Okay, I'll take that. Would you also agree with me that if your vehicle was not on Fleet Street illegally on March 24th, 2022, we would not be in this courtroom today?
If Cat McNeil hadn't been speeding, we wouldn't be in this courtroom today.
Would you agree with me that if you had gotten the proper documentation and preparation for your business, we would not be in this situation?
I disagree. If Cat McNeil was driving her scooter correctly, we wouldn't be in this situation.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any redirect?
No redirect.
All right, thank you, witness. All right, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Mickey Faith to the stand.
All right, Ms. Faith, swear the witness in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell and affirm the truth?
Yes, I swear to affirm and tell the truth.
May I approach your stand?
All right, you may ask.
Please state your name for the court.
My name is Mickey Faith.
May I call you Mickey?
Could you turn your volume up a little bit?
My name is Mickey Faith.
May I call you Mickey?
Yes, everybody else does.
Okay, Mickey, where do you live?
I moved to Medina in 2020 to work at Medina Racing Stables, a racehorse training center.
How far is Medina from Linville?
Medina is about 20 minutes from Linville. I go there for my eye appointments.
You said you train horses in Medina. Can you tell us a little bit more about your job?
I've trained racehorses for years, but for the past 2 years, I've been training this horse that I know is going to go to the Kentucky Derby.
I hope that happens for you. Now, let me direct you to March 24th, 2022. Do you remember that day?
Yes, I remember that day. March 24th, 2022, I had a mid-afternoon eye doctor's appointment. I've hit the age where I've developed eye cataracts. Because she dilated my eyes, my doctor told me I had to wear these funny-looking sunglasses called roll-up dilation glasses. They're supposed to help your eyes from the sun, but they are hard to see out of. I don't like driving after my eyes are dilated, but I had no choice. None of my family lives near Linville, and all my friends were at work, so I hopped in my car and slowly drove back towards Medina.
Okay, did you have some vision at all?
Yes, but my eyes were a little sensitive to the light.
Okay. Mickey, before you left your eye appointment, were you required to sign a consent form?
Yes, I always have to sign a consent form.
On that consent form, what did it say?
Most people will be able to drive once their eyes are dilated as long as they have sunglasses.
Did you fit that category of most people?
Yes, I had no problems at all.
Okay, what happened after you left the eye appointment?
On my drive back, I was stopped at the red light at the intersection of Fleet and Main heading west, and I saw this vehicle. I suppose you can call it that. It's like a party wagons you often see in downtown Linville.
What made this vehicle different?
It had a pool and sand like it was trying to be a mobile beach or something. Even though it was a bit hard to see looking out the windshield due to my eyes being sensitive to sunlight, I knew this wasn't any ordinary party wagon.
What happened next?
As I was stopped at the red light, I saw this person on what appears to be an electric scooter flying down Fleet Street. This rider was going slightly slower than the average thoroughbred, which is around 40 miles per hour.
40 miles per hour. Why do you say the scooter rider was speeding that fast?
I race horses, so I know how fast things go.
Okay, what happened next?
The rider brought the accident on themselves because the party wagon wasn't moving. It was stopped at the red light. The only thing I saw moving immediately prior to the accident was a scooter.
Did you have any opportunity to give your account of this incident to law enforcement?
Yes, right after I saw the scooter crash, someone behind me honked because my light had turned green, so I drove through the intersection and found a place to park. I knew I would need to tell the police what had happened. I did see a police officer and gave my account of what happened. I don't think Deputy Fife believed me or even listened to what I had to say.
Thanks, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, any cross-ex?
Is it okay if I call you Nikki?
Baby, you can call me anything but a sinner.
Nikki, you live in Medina, not in Linville, is that correct?
Yes, you cannot pay me to live in that rat race of a town, Linville.
Do you know the laws and ordinance in Linville?
I noticed you shouldn't break them.
Do you know the laws that regulate scooters in Linville?
I don't race scooters. I race horses.
Do you know the laws that regulate transportation vehicles in Linville?
I never said that I own one. Why would I know laws about them?
Can you tell the jury why you were in Linville again?
I had an eye appointment.
You left your eye appointment because you had cataracts in your eyes.
Yes.
Isn't cataracts a visionary disease where your vision is questionable?
Yes. I said that I have vision problems, but they are all fixed now.
Okay. So on March 24, 2022, you came to Linville for an eye appointment. Is that correct?
That's what I said.
You left the appointment at about what time?
Around 2-ish.
Was it still daylight when you left your appointment?
Very few suns go down at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So you had dilation glasses that helps with sunlight, not to better your vision. Is that correct?
I guess you can say that.
Okay. You claim to have seen the accident involving Kat McNable in the finding Sandy, correct?
Correct.
You had limited visions from cataracts, correct?
That is right.
You had further limited vision because of the dilation glasses. Is that correct?
It didn't limit my vision. It actually helped me to see better.
You mentioned something about the speed of the scooter. Is that correct?
Yes. The girl was zooming like she was going to put out a fire.
So you saw a speeding scooter, a party wagon, a red light, and the accident while squinting to try to see from dark dilation glasses and cataracts in your eyes, correct?
Well, I was limited due to sunlight. I wasn't blind.
I have no more further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any redirect?
No redirect.
All right. All right, defense, do you have any other further witnesses?
No further witnesses.
All right. All right, closing arguments? Defense?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your patience and participation while listening to the witnesses and viewing the evidence that's been put forward in this case. You hear from each witness their testimony, and it's now your time to decide which side this argument should prevail. At the beginning of this trial, my co-counsel challenged you to employ your common sense in the application of the testimony and evidence presented by each witness. That time has come. You should weigh the testimony and evidence and determine what weight you should give to tip the scale either in favor of the plaintiff or the defendant. That scale has been overwhelmingly tilted in favor of my client, Marty Bird. I want to remind you that a plaintiff in a legal cause must prove their case by preponderance of evidence. I want to read you the definition of preponderance of evidence. Preponderance of evidence means the amount of evidence that causes the fact finder to conclude that an allegation is probably true. To prove an allegation by preponderance of evidence, a party must convince the fact finder the allegation is more likely true than not true. If the evidence on a particular issue is equally balanced, that issue has not been proven by preponderance of evidence, and the party having the burden of proving that issue has failed. Ladies and gentlemen, the plaintiff, Captain Naval, has failed miserably, not only from all witnesses' testimony and evidence, but this is proof of our witnesses as well. We define qualification, which is the essential elements necessary to carry the burden of proof in this case. I want to point out that to be a legal cause of an injury, there is no requirement that the cause be the only cause, the last act, or the one nearest to the injury, so long as it is a substantial factor in reducing the injury or damage. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Naval rolled down the scooter down Fleet and Main Street recklessly and did so on a designated roadway for motorized vehicles and not for toys. The injury sustained was the direct cause of Cat's reckless behavior and breaking the law by riding a scooter in the roadway, and is the only factor seen for the causality of those injuries. I want to add that a person who fails to follow the law of a city, county, or state is negligent. You heard proof of Cat McNichols himself saying that the electric scooter was driven in the roadway. So, if a person operates an electric scooter in the roadway, and regardless of if sand, ice, concrete, or even jelly beans were in the roadway or not, Cat should have not been there anyways. Therefore, Cat contributed to their own negligence. I want to direct your attention to the main issue of this case, which is fault as to each of the parties. I want to read you what the law and civil law says what a jury should use in determining fault between each party and a negligent claim. And it reads, if more than one of the parties is at fault, then the jury must compare the fault of the parties. A plaintiff claiming damages who is 50% or more at fault and is not entitled to recover any damages whatsoever. A party is at fault if the party was negligent, and that negligence was a cause, in fact, a legal cause of the injury or damage for which the claim is made. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is absolutely clear. If we just show that the plaintiff is just 50% at fault, we win. It's as simple as that. At the worst case scenario, the plaintiff is negligent at least 50%, and we contend that the Cat is negligent 100%. If a person decides to walk down in the middle of the street after an ice storm without two perfectly nice sidewalks to use, and that person slips, falls, and injures himself, who is at fault? Why should anyone other than that individual be held responsible? Well, this is exactly what Cat McNichols is trying to do in this case. Shift the blame to someone else, other than themselves. Reject this claim in the name of justice. Thank you.
Order! All rise! This court is now back in session. Please be seated at this time.
All right. Closing statement. Plaintiff.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would first like to thank you for your patience and attentiveness throughout this trial. I would like to remind you that we as the plaintiff must prove in order to carry the burden of proof for this case. In a civil proceeding, and this is what this case is, the plaintiff must prove every element of this case by preponderance of the evidence. Preponderance of the evidence means the amount of evidence that causes the fact finder to conclude that an allegation is probably true. To prove an allegation by preponderance of the evidence, a party must convince the fact finder, which will be you, the jury, that an allegation is more likely true than not true. Let me give you an example of what preponderance of the evidence looks like. Imagine having a pan balanced weight scale. If you take a coin, such as a quarter or a silver dollar, and place it on one side of the pan scale, it will shift the scale slightly towards the side of where you place that coin, breaking the balance from 50-50 to 51-49. If we prove this case just slightly from 50-50 to 51-49, we have achieved the burden of proof for this case. And in other words, the scale is tilted in our favor. Let me show you the coin that tilted the scale and created the imbalance in our favor. Our client, Cat McNichols, took the stand. This is a hard-working dental model just going about her daily life, aspiring to be a successful pitch actor for the Choolish Bubblegum Company. You all saw how successful this endeavor was when she obtained a 10-year contract for her super small, and how it all ended due to the negligence of the defendant. This one reckless and selfish act rendered our client unemployable and permanently scarred for life. The physical as well as the emotional damage did not end there. Every one of her potential job opportunities died on March 24, 2022. But why? Because Marty Bird decided to be selfish by driving an unauthorized vehicle on the public streets of Linville. But this wasn't enough. Marty Bird loaded that transportation vehicle with a specific type of sand that you can only find in Florida, and it spilled onto the roadway, causing the accident that changed my client's entire life. Our next coin that tilted the scale came through with the testimony of Deputy Fife. This officer knows the laws that regulates the use of transportation vehicles in public streets. He testified that he was dispatched to an accident scene at Main and Fleet Street in Linville, and upon arriving, Deputy Fife saw Marty Bird's trailer, the Fine and Sandy, and that it was illegally being operated on a street it should not have been on in the first place. That trailer has sand on it that is not germane to any place in Tennessee. It is not an amazing coincidence
that the sand just fell from the heavens, that came from Florida and onto the streets of Linville, Tennessee. If this miracle sandstorm was happening, why wasn't there at least one other sand spill in Linville? Ladies and gentlemen, do not check your common sense at the doors of the courtroom. Our final coin that literally crushed the scale came through with the testimony of our expert witness, Dr. Sanford Stone. Dr. Stone testified that there were 2 sand samples taken from the accident scene by Deputy Fife. Those 2 sand samples were tested, and it was found that this particular sand had a very unique pure quartz in it. There is absolutely no sand quarry in any part of Tennessee that contains this type of pure quartz. It is only found on the beaches of Panama City Beach, Florida, and on the trailer Fine and Sandy of Marty Bird. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk damages. In our pleadings for relief in this case, we are seeking compensatory damages in the amount of $5 million. The defendant, Marty Bird, negligently operated and maintained the Fine and Sandy. Marty Bird owes our client a duty to operate and maintain the Fine and Sandy in a reasonable manner. Marty Bird breached this duty to our client by permitting sand to fall from the Fine and Sandy. And as a direct and proximate result, our client incurred serious physical injuries which required medical treatment and resulted in our clients incurring and becoming liable for those medical expenses. Our client has also suffered mental anguish, humiliation, embarrassment, emotional distress, permanent disfigurement, and the loss of employment opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, the scale is tilted and we can balance it. Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the proof, the closing statements in this particular case. Now, this case rests in the hands of the jury. Jury, I'm going to pass you all the verdict form for this particular trial. And here's what I need you all to do. The bailiff is going to take this verdict form back in the jury deliberation room with you. You all have the exhibits, I assume. You got the exhibits, the verdict form. Here's what I need you all to do when you get back there in the jury deliberation room. You're to choose a jury foreman. There's a space for the jury foreman at the bottom of the instructions of, at the bottom of the verdict sheet right here. And each member of the jury, you just sign your name up under that particular meaning that you agree. Now, in our system of criminal justice here in the United States, we operate with unanimous decision, meaning everybody got to agree. Everyone, if one person does not agree, then we have what they call a hung jury. I mean, there's no verdict rendered. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the evidence that you heard and seen in the trial and use that for determining if the plaintiff in this case prevailed. The plaintiff is the person that filed a lawsuit. The defendant is the person that's defending that lawsuit. And what you're going to do, you're going to take the jury verdict form and you're going to circle either guilty or not guilty. If that's the first phase of it, this is called the guilt or innocent phase. You're going to make a determination if that party, if the defendant is guilty. You make that determination, yes or no. Answer that. Now, if you determine that the defendant is guilty, the second part of that you will put, I put punitive and compensatory damages as the award for this particular defendant. If it's $1, you put that dollar amount there and write it out in word form and numerical form as well. If it's they're asking for $5 million, if that's what the verdict is, I mean the compensatory or punitive damages is, make sure you put that in there when my bailiff will be able to read that particular verdict form when y'all get back. All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and break for deliberation and we're going to be in recess. Call us into recess.
All rise. This court is now in recess.
All right.
This one.
jury find the defendant, Mary Bird, circle only one, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Let's go this way. You go.
Not guilty.
I've defined the defendant guilty.
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 Not guilty. Guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay.
I'm moving.
Okay, now let's actually count it this time.
Not guilty.
1,
Guilty.
2, 1,
Guilty.
2,
Guilty.
3,
Not guilty.
2,
Guilty.
4,
Not guilty.
3, not guilty, 4.
Guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
6 to 5.
So-
6 to 6.
So
Split.
Okay, so why do y'all think?
okay, who said guilty?
I say guilty.
Okay, why do you think they're guilty?
I think they're guilty is because, let's say, they're both at fault. They're both idiots. But what if that was a family or someone's daughter or something? They could have got hit or killed.
Now, I would like to say that first, like, let's say since I said not guilty, she said the scooter was actually speeding, and before, since I was listening, she said that she saw something interesting, like the beaches, like on the truck and everything. So she invited herself to go over and behind the lane for the stuff. So she really caused the accident
She
on
was
herself.
supposed to be on the road. She's supposed to be on the
But you
road.
also have to think, like, the person who was transferred, like Marty Bird, right? They were also transporting an unlicensed vehicle.
Yes.
And they don't
unlicensed. And she's supposed to be on the
She
sidewalk.
wasn't even supposed to
But
be
they're
on the
both
road.
at fault.
Marty Bird.
Yeah, but
wasn't
who's
supposed
more
to
at
be-
fault in
They
the
both not
situation?
supposed to be on the road.
They both wasn't supposed to be on that street anyway.
Exactly.
Marty Bird,
No,
because
because
she wasn't even supposed to be on the road and she left the house.
If
So
her
that-
truck wasn't there, she still could have gotten a crash because she's not supposed to be on the road.
Hold
That is
on, though.
true.
She didn't have no
long, and
business.
she never had
She
no
didn't have no
car.
certificate for her business either.
Business, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
so
she said she make her own laws.
Since you said she
Can't
did
do
it, since you said she did it for so long, she was breaking the law for a long time.
But Marty Bird believes she's a vigilante. She believes she
I
can
say
do
we
what
come-
she wants.
Yeah,
So two
she
more
doesn't follow
votes.
the laws either.
I said we come 2 more votes, do one more time. If it's equal again, then we'll do it one more time and that'll be it. Everybody
You
agree?
need to tell them we ain't coming with them
Okay.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty. Not guilty. Guilty.
now. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
7 to 5.
Okay. we got
7
one
not
person.
guilty. 5 guilty.
Period. She's not
Okay.
guilty.
We could just say she's guilty, but she doesn't have to pay that
Who
much.
changed their mind?
You could.
A lot of people.
Oh, actually, you know.
You should change your mind.
We're looking
I
at
can't
it.
say
Don't change your mind. She was guilty. They're
No,
both
see, you
fools.
can't do that. It's his
I mean-
opinion.
That's true.
Alright. Okay. So we'll put guilty, and then how much do you?
100,000.
$10.
Because they're
100,000.
Now look. We giving y'all the guilty,
we
so
giving
y'all
y'all-
can
so
y'all let us
yeah.
pick the price?
Right.
Alright. 30 or 35?
35K.
It ain't.
I start
You
over.
want
35.
guilty.
35.
35K.
35.
35.
35.
$10.
30.
35.
35.
35.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Right. 30.
Number.
That's majority.
So right here we put.
Yeah.
We put. So right here we put 35K, and then written we put.
35K.
You gotta
You gotta
write
put
TH.
Oh, you gotta write it. You gotta
Zero. Write it. No.
Okay, just do this though.
How you know, bro?
That's how you write a check, ain't it? You
It's
put
a
the number.
numerical
supposed to
and
be here?
written form.
I'm saying
Then you
And then
gotta
I gotta write it in words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
35.
30.
TH.
I know how to
Two
spell.
up.
$35,000, right?
Yeah.
100.
Wait,
I mean, $35,000.
Just scratch it up.
$35,000.
We could just. 5 minutes.
Cause 5 million crazy.
Yeah.
She
Okay,
is-
5 million.
5 million.
It's a bit too much.
So jury foreman. That's me, right?
That's the
Yes,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Veneers.
Not veneers, veneers.
Y'all so many, bro. Veneers.
Can't believe y'all. Can't believe we really wrote this.
Court is now back in session. Please be seated.
All right. I understand that the jury has reached a verdict in this case. Bring the jury in. All right, I understand that we have reached a verdict in this case. Jury foreman, stand up. So you all have reached a verdict in this.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. All right. Could I ask that the defendant stand? Yes. All right. There's been a verdict in this case, and I'm going to let the bailiff read what the verdict is.
We, the jury, found the defense, Mary Bird, guilty. In the state of the case of Kmart versus Bird, if you find the defendant, Mary Bird, what amount of money should Kate receive from the defendant? $35,000.
All right. Thank you. All right, jury foreman. Is this the verdict that you all reached in this particular cause?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, I'm going to poll the jury and see if that's their verdict. Can I have each one of the jurors to stand? All right. I'm going to read the verdict sheet. It indicates that we, the jury, find the defendant, Marty Bird, guilty in the state case of Cat McNeely versus Marty Bird. Now, is this verdict of guilty in compensatory and punitive damages of $35,000? Is that your verdict? Is that your verdict? Is that your verdict?
Yes.
Is that your verdict? No? All right. I'm going to continue to poll the jury. Is that your verdict? 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 Is that it? Is that your verdict? Is that your verdict? All right. I have an incorrect jury verdict in this because it must be unanimous. That means all 12 jurors agree. So I'm going to declare this as a mistrial.
Thank you.
Hey guys, let's call back to order. Let's call back to order.
You may be seated. All right. Whew. Now, as amazing as this might sound, would you believe that I worked in the courts for 8 years? I worked down in the court system for 8 years. I worked in criminal court where people's lives, freedom is at stake. And here's the thing, in most instances, if you had a hung jury, they would have never returned this verdict form. And this is why, if you all watch a real case, don't watch that crap on TV you see. If you see a real case and this actually happened, it has happened, happened near here in a capital murder case down in Mississippi. The young lady, I'm thinking of her name, but she was burned alive. She was burned to death, and one of her ex-boyfriends was accused of it. And sure enough, they had returned a verdict of guilty. And as soon as they started polling the jury, one of the jurors said, actually it was two. It was two jurors said, something about that, I just don't feel right. And it was a hung jury. That guy, he was exonerated here, but he burned that girl alive. They found her down in Panola County, not too far from Memphis. And here's what happened. he might have not been guilty. They were using technology and different things to determine his guilt. And the jurors, a couple of jurors, and that's all the defense have to do, convince one person. Their goal is to I just want convince one person to believe my side of this particular case. And that's what they did apparently. Somebody convinced Larry that the preponderance of evidence wasn't achieved. Because here's the thing, in a civil case, this is what this is. That's why they painstakingly, when Tracy got up and she was trying to describe what preponderance of evidence is, she did a very good job telling you all how to tip that scale, because in a preponderance of evidence case, all you have to do is be 51% right on either side, 51%. And that's what happened. Defense did their job. They got Larry. They convinced him, saying, something wrong, I don't feel good with this verdict here. They achieved their goal. They did their job. Very good job, I would say. If you have 100% unanimous to convince 12 individuals that know nothing about one another, that's a very good thing. All you have to do is get one. But if you get all 12, you did a great job as well. Y'all convinced 11. Y'all got 11. Y'all just missed that one. All right. I have a question here.
He didn't agree with the amount of money.
About the money. They didn't agree with the guilt.
How do you agree with the guilt?
All right.
Hey, it's already been mistrial.
All right. Listen up. Listen up. Listen up. Listen up. Listen up. I'm not going to gavel anything because I'm disturbing Trev and CTC. How you doing, young lady? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, here's the situation. Here's the situation. He agreed to the guilt, but he didn't agree to the monetary damages. That is equally important in any case, and that's what deliberation is for. And here's the thing. Of course, deliberation won't last no 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes deliberation go on days when you're trying to make a decision about something that's very, and here's what, I just thought of something. My last assignment as a sheriff deputy, I was in charge of the civil courts. I said, God, this is going to be so boring. I cannot stand civil litigation, this kind of stuff, lawsuit. But here's the thing. It was one of the most dangerous courthouse. Forget the criminal court. The criminal courts are across the street from the civil court. But the most dangerous place in courts are civil litigation. Y'all know why?
Because they be wanting money.
Money is the root of all evil. Okay. Here's what happens when people, listen to me on this one. When people ready to lose all that they worked hard for, she said, I built my business. I was a school teacher. I'm not ready to lose. Y'all saw her face when that verdict was read.
See.
She said, $35,000 is a lot of money to her. Okay. She's a small business owner.
She probably don't need that.
All right. Y'all listen up.
I want to do
Listen up. Not talk, listen up. Now, here's the thing about that. And I know a lawyer. I know a lawyer. In fact, I saw him a week before. He was shot and killed by his client. His client shot and killed him because he said, "You not represent me because I'm ready to lose everything." He and his wife were divorced. They were trying to split up a business, a very lucrative business here in Memphis. And when that happened, he met him out there in the garage and shot and killed him. He said, because I'm ready to lose everything. A lot of people believe life and death in their business. And there's a lot. But now, here's the thing. That's why it's important. Normal deliberation. Y'all would have had that already settled. Now, here's what would have happened. Kevin would have came out and said, hey, We got a hung jury back there. And I would have went back there and polled you all. But y'all came and said y'all had a verdict. And y'all fill out a verdict for him saying, yeah, we believe it's unanimous. And y'all put a monetary dollar. He just don't believe it. I'm trying to get done there.
Did he sign his name on the form?
He signed his name. Let me make sure.
That's what you call a mistrial.
Right. Right.
Okay.
He signed his name. Let me see. Larry Llewellyn. There it is. There's his name. You said you agreed with everybody else.
We tricked him.
You did. But you did. All right, Larry. Stand up, Larry. Larry Llewellyn. Let me say this about Larry. Every day at 2:30 to 2:35, I got to kick him out of my classroom because Larry, he's very opinionated. Larry is he's opinionated on absolutely everything. There's not a subject he's not opinionated in. And he and I, we spend at least 20 to 30 minutes after school is over arguing about something that we're different in our opinions about. And I don't mind that. I love that. I love to engage in that kind of conversation because one, he's trying to convince me he's right, and I'm trying to convince him I'm right. But now, Larry, out of curiosity, what was wrong with that $35,000? Tell me.
For one, I believe both sides are guilty or at fault because, for one, she should never have her car. She should never have her vehicle speeding down the road. But second off, I think the defendant's more guilty because that sand was on the road. I don't care if it was jelly beans or something else. That could have hurt someone else and caused a bigger accident.
The jelly beans, if y'all were listening, that's what Kenneth actually said in his closing. It's really, and he's correct. What difference does it make what Kat slipped on if she's operating a vehicle in the wrong way? It's just one of those things. He got a good point. Go on, finish.
She should have never had her vehicle there because she didn't have a license for that area, and the defendant was acting cocky, saying she makes the laws. You do not make the law.
It's not true. Because she had a permit for her scooter.
She had a certificate for her.
Y'all lost.
She had a certificate.
Wait, you said what are you? Yeah, y'all got confused.
Yeah, I said.
Nobody knows.
All right, go back, finish Larry.
I said she does not make the law. She believes she owns the road, but she doesn't. She should have took the case.
You talking about Marty Bird?
Yeah, she should have took the case a little bit more seriously.
Now here's what Larry did. You listened to this case with compassion to the point. Although this is a fictional case, here's what you did. You took it at heart because you took your duty very serious. Here's what is going to happen when you young people turn 18. Y'all turn 18. Y'all going to become, guess what? It never failed. I promise you, as soon as you turn 18, the summer, right after you turn, you're probably going to be sitting on somebody's jury. They want you.
Actually, that's incorrect.
What?
I'm just saying, like.
Why am I wrong?
Okay. You're talking about the summer after they turn 18. First of all, they have to wait till election season to vote, and then they use the people who voted to get a jury. And I worked in jury duty before too, so.
The place you go, Dr. Collins.
I don't mind putting my in a place already. Let me tell you from my experience of actually working sequestered juries where my jurors, I had to take them to a hotel and I had to sit there and convince these people, please sit on this trial to this duration, all the way to the end. And that's like 2 weeks away from their house. These are people who live out of Germantown and Collierville. And they come down all the way downtown, and I have to put them up in a hotel for a whole week. And they're sequestered. Where we take their cell phone. We take they cannot watch TV.
You can't have any outside influence.
You cannot have zero outside influence. And let me tell you who they are. They don't care if you vote or not. That is incorrect, because most people, when you turn 18, you register to vote. You don't vote. Some people don't vote until they're 23. In fact, our Minorities and Matters Club here, we went out and we were registering people to vote. We had people in their 40s, never voted before. So don't tell me about no voting being a factor when you become a juror, because I'm gonna tell you who the jury commissioner is. And I know him personally. He cares less if you vote. When you turn 18, you're gonna get an invitation. We used to take them over here to the Mid-South Coliseum. Before that building is no longer dilapidated. I don't know where they take them now, probably to FedEx Forum, because we got about 20,000 people. They get sworn in. During this, most of the time, they try doing it in the summertime when people not they're off work and the children are out of school, so they can come down. Because one, this is called trial season here. We're ready to go in trial season come June, because most lawyers, they don't want to try a case during work because people got commitment and they got kids. They don't want to be away from those children during during school days. If they're out of school, they make a big difference. That's another story, another thing. But nevertheless, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, you're going to get that cut. I assure you, as soon as you turn 18, you're going to get that invite to come down, because they want, I hadn't been on a jury in at least 15 years now. At least 15. And at one time, I used to be exempt. Law enforcement could not be on a jury because they were about. And guess what? I thought I was going to go in there. I went in doing voir dire. Voir dire is when they ask the jurors to tell the truth. They ask you something about yourself. You better be able. You've got to tell the truth. Like they say, you're law enforcement. Can you sit on this jury? And guess what? I sat on a personal injury case. They wanted me there because guess what? I was a police officer. They said, we want your opinion. And guess who I became? I became the jury foreman. Because I said, hold on. And I found that the defendant not guilty. I said, because all of these particular factors, especially when you're talking about injury. Now, for you young people that's interested in going into law, I would strongly encourage you to get into the personal injury, because that's big money. Big money, because y'all are horrible drivers. Not bad. Not bad, y'all. Y'all are horrible. And y'all wreck all the time. And don't let a drop of rain hit the street. I'm really telling you something.
So it's over?
Yes.
All that time.